I want to go across now, live and exclusive on India Today, to one of the foremost military thinkers and strategists in this country of ours, former Chief of the Indian Army Staff, General Bikram Singh, now joining us on this broadcast. We've just heard, General, from the Indian Prime Minister, a public pronouncement of the kind that no Indian public leader has ever made before this, telling Pakistan there will be military consequences, telling the perpetrators, watch out, we will come and get you. What do you make, General Singh, of what we've just heard from the Prime Minister?
Rahul, I think it's a very strong, very apt, very appropriate message that has been conveyed by the Prime Minister to Pakistan. I'm getting an echo.
Okay, I'm going to try and fix that echo, General. Okay,
that notwithstanding, I'll just continue. Right.
Go on, General. I hear you, strength 5. Please carry on, sir.
Yeah, Rahul, I think it's a very appropriate, apt message that has been conveyed by the Prime Minister to Pakistan. And I think it's also a message to the international community that we got to put our act together to make sure that we put pressure on Pakistan to deter Pakistan from indulging in exporting terror to India. Now, along with this, you would have seen the statement which was made after the CCS meeting by the Honorable Finance Minister. By and large, various prongs of the whole of government approach have been spelt out. You know, in that the diplomatic isolation, the political isolation of Pakistan, along with economic measures which I'm sure will start off by first initial withdrawal of the most favored nation status, and thereafter the economic strangulation as it goes by. Because you see, the ultimate aim of this entire exercise is going to be to put pressure on Pakistan to accede to our will. Now, if it does it through non-kinetic means, through the actions that are being taken, I suppose there may not be a need of kinetic means being used beyond the line of control. I mean, this is what I can fathom from the statement of the Prime Minister.
Let's just try and break down, General Singh, this military jargon for our viewers.
Army would continue with its operations.
One second, sir. Try and differentiate for our viewers the difference between kinetic options and non-kinetic options. What are we looking at here? When we talk about a comprehensive national security strategy to put Pakistan under pressure,
right,
which includes diplomatic and military options, what's at play? What's the difference between kinetic and non-kinetic options? General Singh.
Right. You see, when you talk of the non-kinetic options are in the domain of economic and diplomatic. These initiatives, as I said, withdrawal of MNF status, your isolation of Pakistan, use of cyberspace to make sure we disallow Pakistan to use the platforms, which is the communication platforms that it is using to instigate and sort of radicalize our people in Jammu and Kashmir. So these are going to be the non-kinetic initiatives which are going to be taken, which is again a whole of government approach as part of the strategy. And then kinetic, of course, are the use of firepower along the line of control as part of our ongoing operations along the line of control. I had one of the speakers saying that, wait and watch, our response to the first ceasefire violation will be very heavy. I think we shouldn't be waiting for a ceasefire violation. We should undertake ceasefire violation now. There's no question of waiting for Pakistan to violate the ceasefire. We should continue to vitiate this arena to an extent that we punish Pakistan along the line of control. This, mind you, was done in early 2000, 2002, 2003, for that matter, even in 1995, 1996. We had taken on pulverizing the areas along the line of control to ensure that, the people over there, they grunt to their government to tell them to stop meddling with India. So all kinds of measures have got to be used, kinetic, non-kinetic, along the line of control through the international community to make sure we put Pakistan under pressure, under duress, to make it accede to our demands.
General Singh, what's China's response likely to be? One of the things that's holding India back so far is the fear that there will be retaliation response from China, that this will become a two-pronged war. While we have the military and the economic capability to deal with Pakistan, the moment China gets involved, the dynamics change. Is that a real fear? Is that an overhyped fear? Can we deal with Pakistan and China together, sir?
I think it's an overhyped flaw. I'll be very honest with you. I do not visualize China doing this. If you look back right from 71, that time also China had postured. all our wars with Pakistan, China has actually refrained from getting involved. Given the present strategic, I would say, hug between India and between Pakistan and China, and the understanding, I still feel that China, which is looking to becoming a global power by regional power by 2025 and a global power by 2050, would not like to get into any diversion and trying to antagonize a very important player in South Asia, in its region. And I do not see China doing this. China may play a role in terms of trying to dissuade both sides to sort of not get into this confrontation. But I have my very serious doubt that China will step in. But that notwithstanding, when we go in for escalatory ladder, we got to be guarding both our fronts. Let's be very clear. Hope cannot be strategy. Hope is never a strategy. We got to cater for the worst contingency, and the worst contingency is two-front situation, but which I personally feel will escalate slowly if it has to, and we have adequate resources to deal with it. Because China would not come in. China may do it from the point of view of its expression of intent, expression of its strategic alliance with Pakistan. It may posture, it may use some resources, but would not go into the use of force against India. I'm certain about it. So therefore, I think there should be no holds barred, given the intent of India. But one thing to be seen is that, we have to see that if we use force of that magnitude, is the fallout of that in the end going to put an end to Pakistan exporting terrorism to India? That is something got to be seen, because today the entire population of Pakistan is subverted, if you come to think of it. Handful of people who are into this track to diplomacy and meeting at various places and having discussions, barring those people, the middle rung, the lower rung, are anti-India. We got to understand this. And therefore, the only way out is perhaps to isolate Pakistan and show it the rightful place.
So, isolation of Pakistan is easier said than done. For example, on the issue of proscribing Masood Azhar, India has tried thrice before the United Nations on some very flimsy pretext or the other. Beijing ensures that a globally third-rate designated terrorist like Masood Azhar doesn't get banned. So, we can't wait for others to fight this battle. Yes, France matters, the United States matters, Israel matters. This is a battle India must fight itself.
I'm with you absolutely, Rahul. We have to fight this battle on a standalone mode. We cannot be expecting. Yes, but we do require international, I would say, support in terms of whatever we do. That is important. But let me tell you one thing. When we evolve a strategy, we must take a very pragmatic look at the whole thing. And I'm glad, since yesterday I'm watching you, you've taken a very, very pragmatic view of the whole situation. Now, you don't expect, China to outrightly condemn the terrorists in Pakistan. Let's be very clear. Look at the kind of money they have committed to the China-Pakistan economic corridor. Would they like to, finger the hornet's nest, whereafter, the terrorists start getting after the Chinese who are operating along the China-Pakistan economic corridor? No, they won't. So, mind you, this is being done purely from the point of view of getting the security from the terrorists. But otherwise, I think we should not get worried. I do not suppose that China would get into it. There are areas where when you go in, you would not be threatening the China-Pakistan economic corridor. In any case, it is passing through some parts of ours, Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. That area belongs to us. So I personally feel once the decision is taken, all pros and cons will be evaluated. But one thing I wish to bring out, Rahul, through this particular session of yours with me, that, as part of the entire strategy, let's not forget the radicalization. I think we got to start accepting this as a problem. So far, we have brushed it under the carpet. It is an issue. It requires a very, very comprehensive, focused strategy, a strategy which deals with not only dealing with the internal and external actors who are fueling radicalization, but also the conditions that are fueling radicalization. And along with this, we have to also institute certain mechanisms, certain measures for de-radicalization. Along with the prisons which are over there, we've got to create de-radicalization cells. We've got to monitor the madrasas, the education facilities. We've got to make sure that there is security provided to the contemporary educational, schools which are over there, so that they are not subverted. Because we got to see this entire thing as an overall strategy, because just targeting Pakistan and not forgetting the internal arena may not give us a dividend. So
after an open declaration of the kind that we have seen from the Indian Prime Minister General Singh, is limited war now virtually inevitable? That there will be strikes inside Pakistan, that we have to prepare for this moving up the ladder of escalation? It is now, the die is cast, it is now inevitable.
Well, Rahul, for the benefit of your viewers, this question let me answer slightly in a more conceptual manner. You see, when nations go to war, there is a term, a Latin term called jus ad bellum. Jus ad bellum means, justification for war. And the aspects that you look into it at that point of time are, the just cause, the chances of success, the last resort, legitimacy, right intention. Well, all these conditions are fulfilled as far as India is concerned. It is an opportune moment to strike, but at what level, with what quantum of resource will be decided by the government. The military cannot decide this. But I think we should be now prepared. The very fact that the Prime Minister has said to take on this, perhaps either through an escalatory ladder or go in and give a hammer onto Pakistan. But the point to note is, let's be very clear. Today, as I said earlier, the target which you are going to take on, that target, do you want to take on certain components of that target, which is en masse the entire Pakistan, I would say 80% of its population, which is totally indoctrinated against India? Or is it just the terrorist camps? So we got to see that. We've got to evaluate not just the first year implication, but also as a great nation of the second, third and fourth order implications as to what may happen down the line and take measures accordingly. But I think it's a plausible option. We have the justification just at bellum at the moment to go in for this kind of a strike.
General Singh, the nuclear threshold will be spoken of often. The moment India says we will strike targets using the Indian military, there will be people in think tanks in Washington, there will be those in Pakistan who will say our nuclear red lines have been violated, they will threaten to use the nuclear option. Is that again an overhyped, overstated threat? Do you believe that is a genuine threat?
Yes. No, it's not a genuine threat. Let me be very clear with you. We must call the Pakistan bluff for once for all. Pakistan will continue to, keep talking about its, tactical nuclear weapons and things like that. But let's also be clear. Pakistan also understands our nuclear of massive retaliation. Should Pakistan try to use nuclear tactical weapon against India, I have said number of times that is going to spell the disaster for Pakistan. That will actually efface Pakistan from the world map. Pakistan will cease to exist. So Pakistan will not try out this nuclear stunt. It is, it's a political weapon. They have used for too long. And for too long, we were cowed down by their threat. I think it's time to now call their bluff, go in for it where required, and not bother about this tactical nuclear concept. Because we also have our arsenal with us to hit them hard should they feel funny.
The Prime Minister spoke of Pakistan's economy being in a shambles. We know that Imran Khan went with a begging bowl, bowing before Christian Lagarde, seeking a bailout. How important is the financial distress in Pakistan a factor in India's response going to be? And the possibility of China looking to bail out Pakistan economically, supplying weapons, supplying ammunition. They already supply fighter aircraft. Could that also be something that India needs to look at, General Singh?
Look, Rahul, I firstly do not feel that Pakistan has the gumption to resort to a conventional conflict with India. And given the statement of the Prime Minister, I have no doubts in my mind that you will find proactive initiatives being taken by Pakistan to diffuse the situation. I have no doubts in my mind. They will use every possible lever at the international level, at the regional level, to make sure that India does not go beyond a particular threshold. But yes, the economy is something which is always taken into account. Wars are a drain on the economy. With this bad economy of Pakistan, which is 1/20th of India's economy today, I do not see an opportunity. I don't think Pakistan can afford to wage a war against India or even to get into a defensive war. It has to run away from this kind of a situation by virtually folding its hands. I know this very well, they will do it. They may not openly declare they are doing it, but they will go across to the international place to make sure India is put pressure on and to dissuade India from reacting in a very aggressive manner.
No, the other thing is, what is our level of preparation? Some of these CAG reports that have come out have said that we don't have adequate weapon supplies, we are short of officers, we are short of ammunition. They've raised concerns. Letters have been written by previous chiefs. Some of those capacities have been built, but we are way short of what is optimally required. How much of a concern is that? How prepared is India for this military option against Pakistan at this moment, General Singh?
Rahul, I think we have enough wherewithal, enough capability to take on Pakistan with whatever we had at the moment, and we'll do it in style and with decisive results at the end of it. That's not an issue. But yes, what you mentioned in the beginning of our discussion conversation regarding China, I think perhaps it's time to be far more pragmatic and tweak our nuclear strategy, nuclear doctrine to create a deterrence for China. We haven't done that. That little tweaking in terms of just inserting a fact that while we are committed to no first use, we reserve the right to use nuclear arsenal when our national sovereignty, our security and integrity is threatened. Period. I mean, that is all that we are inserting. We are not trying to aim towards anybody, but it does bring in a factor of deterrence vis-a-vis China. And that's how wars are fought. Wars are not fought just by military might. As I said earlier, this is part of the non-kinetic means being used against China.
Can we expect Donald Trump to come to our aid? Will this be India plus the United States versus Pakistan? We've seen a very strong statement put out by the US State Department saying that Pakistan is to blame, talking about how Pak-based terror groups are responsible. Will this be just verbal support? Can we expect active, real-time intelligence inputs as well on the locations of Hafiz Saeed, Dawood Ibrahim, Masood Azhar, Syed Salahuddin, or not really?
Look, Rahul, Donald Trump is first a corporate leader before he became a political leader. All his actions are governed, by his psyche of a corporate leader, a corporate strategic leader. You must have seen that ever since he's come in, for that matter, from 2013, when Obama was there has been a very conscious effort on the part of the United States to contract from the global scene because of, again, the economic factor. It is in terms of dollars draining the economy of the United States as well. So United States is not going to get committed in any war. You've seen it's already made a declaration with regard to Afghanistan. It withdrew post-haste from Iraq. It will not come to anyone's rescue. We must understand this. There's a need to understand Donald Trump. I personally feel America may do a bit of jockeying in terms of certain posturing, in terms of certain rhetoric and statements. But when it comes to a physical engagement to support us physically, I don't think that will be possible. Yes, in terms of weapons, arsenal, wherewithal, they would supply definitely. But we should not expect a kind of a joint effort, a combined effort to balance power in this region. USA will not go beyond a point, I personally feel. These are my personal views.
Okay, and General Singh, while we spend much time, energy and effort looking at India's options and responses, step back for a moment, use all the military experience you have, jump into the enemy's mind. Why did Pakistan pick this moment, this time, to inflict such a major attack? Since Uri, post Pathankot, there hadn't been an attack of this magnitude. Now there has been. We're days short of the announcement of the Indian general elections. Is this an attempt by the Pakistani deep state, the ISI, the generals in Rawalpindi, to try and vitiate the political process in India, General Singh?
Give me 2-3 minutes to explain this. Rahul, we again got to take a very pragmatic view of this. Firstly, when you take on Pakistan, Pakistan, to my way of thinking, I've been reading a lot on them, and also large number of papers, which have been actually written by a large number of think tanks. Pakistan has created a monster, all right. It's a strategic asset they have created, but it is also bleeding them. It's a double-edged sword they have created. So to some extent, at some places, the terrorists also don't listen to them. I know this very well. It has happened in the past. I'm aware of certain interaction in the United Nations with large number of Pakistani officers who have highlighted this aspect, that it's become a monster which virtually has taken a stature where it is difficult to control. But that notwithstanding, you are right. One, of course, could be in view of the elections which are around the corner. Number two, when you consider the local level action which is there, the local terrorists were under a lot of threat, and the only option during a period during winters, when after firing at the security forces they cannot run away because of the telltale signs they leave in the snow. Because the pictures that I was saying, on the both sides of the road where the incident occurred, there was snow. So a fidain had to be undertaken. So in other words, this is also the manifestation of the frustration as far as terrorists are concerned. They were on the back foot. They had suffered large amount of attrition, and this was one way of again, conveying a message that look, we are still kicking and alive, and please do not take us for granted. So there are a large number of reasons as to why this has happened. But yes, at the strategic level, perhaps trying to take mileage out of this could be also one of the reasons at the strategic level.
Okay, you've helped put this entire scenario into context. I hope to come back to you later in the day as well. Former Chief of the Indian Army Staff, General Bikram Singh, thank you very much for joining us on India Today.
Thanks for watching the video. For more such news and updates, please like, share and subscribe to India Today. Also check out our other great videos from our channel. We know you would love to.